Alright, in this video we are going to be looking at some word problems dealing with 5.3k, which is adding and subtracting rational numbers. So rational numbers can be whole numbers, decimals, fractions. That's pretty much what we focus on in 5th grade. So there's only really one fraction problem at the end, so if you need fraction computation practice, this is probably not a good video, but we are going to focus more on the decoding of the questions as opposed to the actual math and computation. There are other videos and assignments that you can do if you just need to practice the actual math part of it. Alright, we're going to go through every problem on the assignment, so this video will be a little bit lengthy. Alright, number 1. Last month, Jim drove his car 2,718 and 3/10 miles. That brought the car's total mileage to 87,416 miles. What was the car's total mileage before last month? Now, this before is a big key word because I want to know the total mileage, but I'm already given the total mileage of what it is right now. The question is asking me, what was it before last month? So what I'm going to need to find out is, what was it before he drove this 2,718 and 3/10 miles? And the way I'm going to find that is I've got to subtract what he did last month from the current total. And that'll give me the total from the previous month. So 87,416. Now here's where it gets just a little bit tricky, not too bad. But my total mileage is a whole number. And the mileage he drove last month is a decimal with a 3 in the tenths place. So I need to put a decimal down, and my decimal on this is just going to go on the end. Now I'm going to do something else in a minute, but I'm going to start there as I set the problem up. Minus 2,718 and 3/10. Now, one thing I need to be in the habit of doing is anytime I have an unequal number of digits to the right of the decimal, I want to go ahead and add zeros to make the number of digits the same, especially in subtraction, because I could make a really careless mistake and just, if this was still blank, and say, okay, I guess that's 3, but I have to remember this is a 0 here. It may not be written on this number, but there's a decimal here because it's a whole number, and then there are zeros literally going forever. It doesn't change the value of the number at all to put that decimal and that 0 on there, and I need to do it to complete the problem. Alright, and then I need to do my regrouping. So I can't subtract 3 from 0, so I've got to change this to a 10. So this is going to become a 5. Can't do 8 from 5, so I've got to regroup from there to make that 15. That becomes a 0. Can't do 1 from 0, so I've got to keep on going. Can't do 7 from 3, so I've got to change that. So I've got a lot of regrouping going on in this problem. Alright, once I get my regrouping done, 10 minus 3 gives me 7. Don't forget your decimal. 15 minus 8 is 7. 10 minus 1 is 9. 13 minus 7 is 6. 4 minus 2, excuse me, 6 minus 2 is 4. My brain jumped ahead a little bit. And 8 minus nothing is 8. So I end up with 84,697 and 7/10 miles. And I'm just checking my computation with a calculator off camera, because if you've watched any of these videos, you know Mr. Beckwith makes a mistake every now and again. It happens. Alright, number 2. Now number 2, thankfully I'm not dealing with any fractions or decimals, but I am going to be dealing with some very serious whole numbers. Alright, so number 2, the table shows the population of 3 counties in 3 Texas counties. The population of Gray County is missing. That's important. The population of Gray County is 35,553 less than the population of Anderson County. What is the combined population of these 4 counties? So this combined of the 4 counties means at some point I've got to add all of these counties up to get a final answer. Unfortunately, I don't know what Gray County is. So I've got to figure that out first. Well, it tells me that Gray County is 35,553 less than the population of Anderson County. So I need this Anderson County number to figure out what my Gray County number is. So I'm just going to do this right up here off the side because I know I'm going to have to do a lot of computation on this and I want to save my space. So 58,308 for Anderson County, and then Gray County is 35,553 less than that. All right. Just setting up my regrouping before I get going on this. All right. 8 minus 3 is 5. 10 minus 5 is 5. 12 minus 5 is 7. 7 minus 5 is 2. 5 minus 3 is 2. So my population for Gray County is going to be 22,755. And I'm just checking my computation off camera. All right, I'm good. Now, I could, in theory, use this table in this space to actually do the computation, but that's pretty tight. And doing 4 numbers at once could be a little bit overwhelming. So if you need to do these one at a time, where you do maybe Anderson and Dallas first, and then maybe Brazos and Grace, off to the side second, and then you add those totals, or maybe you do Anderson and Dallas, and then you add Brazos, and then you add Gray. However you want to do that, however you want to add these 4 numbers up is fine. I'm actually going to use the table um, just for space sake, and I should be able to do it. I didn't do a great job lining up my Gray County numbers. In fact, I'm going to change it just a little bit. The dangers of writing in a pen. All right, so we've got 8 plus 4 plus 2 plus 5. So I know 8 plus 2 is 10. 10 plus 4 is 14. 14 plus 5 is 19. Carry my 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5, plus 5 is 10. Carry my 1. 1 plus 3 is 4, plus 6 is 10, plus 7 is 17. Carry my 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 6 is 15, plus 7 is 22, plus 2 is 24. Carry my 2. 2 plus 5 is 7, plus 1 is 8, plus 9 is 17, plus 2 is 19. And I'm just rechecking something real quick. 10. Okay, we're good. All right, 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 1 is 6. And then I'm not carrying anything. I've just got this 2 all by itself out here. All right, so we get 2,694,709. I'm going to check my work off to the side. Again, if you're doing this for practice, it's not a terrible idea to have a calculator app open either on the computer or on a device just to be checking your work as you go. You don't want to necessarily be using the calculator because this is what you're supposed to be practicing is the actual computation as well. But it's a good way to check your work. And that is correct, at least according to my calculator. So this is what I've got as my answer. All right, number 3. So number 3, we're spending a little money. Marcia bought a birthday card for $2.86 and a pen for $1.57. She paid with a $20 bill. How much change should Marcia have received? So I'm looking for change. I'm looking for how much change she would have left over. The first thing I need to do, though, is I need to figure out how much money she actually spent. So I'm given these 2 amounts. It doesn't tell me anything about tax. So if the problem doesn't state anything about tax, I don't need to calculate it because it's not giving me that information. So I'm just going to set it up $2.86 plus $1.57. 6 plus 7 is 13, carry my 1. 1 plus 8 is 9, plus 5 is 14, carry my 1. Make sure my decimals lined up. 1 plus 2 plus 1 is 4. So this is how much she spent total. She paid with a $20 bill. Remember, that decimal is hiding over there. So when I set up my subtraction to figure out how much change she had, I'm going to need to remember to put my decimal at the end of that 20. Spent $4.43. I need to write those two zeros in just to help me with the computation, and then I can complete the problem. And this is all money, so it's not wrong at all to put those dollar signs in there just so you have it labeled. All right, do my regrouping here. All right, 10 minus 3 is 7. 9 minus 4 is 5. Make sure my decimals lined up. 9 minus 4 is 5 again. And my 1's all alone, so we get $15.57. Check my math off camera real fast. Make sure I didn't make any computation errors myself. And we're good. Alright, on to the next page. Now, I would hesitate to even call this next question a word problem. However, I have seen this very question on an exam before, so we're going to use it. So the problem just straight up tells us find the difference of 238 and 92 and 49 hundredths. I think the challenge for this problem is just remembering there's a decimal right here at the end of 238. So when I go to set this problem up, that's where my decimal goes on the 238. And so I need to line my decimals up because I'm subtracting. And so when I do that, I need to remember to add those zeros in there so I don't make a computation error. And once I have the problem set up, it's just a matter of doing the math. So I need to set up my regrouping. All right. 10 minus 9 is 1. 9 minus 4 is 5. Remember to line up my decimal. 7 minus 2 is 5. 13 minus 9 is 4. My brain did it again. 1 all by itself. And there we go. And when you're prepping for STAAR, know that you will absolutely get some problems where you're subtracting or adding a whole number and a decimal, because they want to see, do you know where to put that decimal on a whole number? Do you know where it goes on the whole number? All right, number 5 is very similar to number 3. We've just got some different dollar amounts, but it's basically the same question. Paul bought a ticket to a football game for $17.50. Ooh, we have tax on this one, but we don't have to calculate the tax. It just tells us what it is. The tax on the ticket was $1.44. Frank paid with a $50 bill. How much change did Frank receive? So again, we're trying to find the change. He spent $50. We've got the amount of the ticket, and we've got the tax on the ticket. So we need the total amount he spent first, and then we can calculate his change. All right, so he spent $17.50 on the ticket, and he spent $1.44 in tax. So we need to add those up to get our total. 0 plus 4 is 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. Make sure my decimals are lined up. 7 plus 1 is 8. 1 plus nothing is 1. So this is how much he spent total. And now I need to subtract that from how much money he paid with. Now again, they're trying to see, do you know that there is a decimal hiding at the end of that whole number? Do you know that there's a decimal right there at the end of that 50? So 50.00 minus 18.94, because I have to line these decimals up. Okay. All right, so let's do our regrouping. Okay, 10 minus 4 is 6. 9 minus 9 is 0. Make sure my decimals lined up. 9 minus 8 is 1. 4 minus 1 is 3. I check my math off camera just to make sure. And everything looks good. So this is how much change he received. And again, all these are dollar amounts, so if you want to label with the dollar signs, it's not a bad idea. All right. Number 6. Lisa cut a rope that was 19.75 meters long into 3 pieces. The first piece of rope was 6.4 meters long. The second piece of rope was 4.36 meters long. How long was the third piece of rope? So, a lot of times when we see the word cut, we may think divide, and that's a lot of times that's the case, but what we need to look for is, did it cut into equal pieces? And the answer is no, it did not. So because the answer is no, we're not dividing. So because it's no, we're not dividing. All right, so what we have to do is we have to figure out how much was cut. Now there's a couple of ways we could do this to find this third piece. We've got the starting amount. We've got how much was taken off the first time and how much was taken off the second time. So one thing we could do is we could set up 19.75. We could subtract 6.4. Again, remember to line those decimals up and put any zeros in that are needed at the end. And then whatever we get from this answer, we would then subtract 4 and 36 meters from to get our final answer. So that's one way we could do it. Another way we could do it is we could add 6 and 4/10 to 4 and 36 hundredths, and that's going to give us the amount of the first two, and then we could subtract that number from 19. So either way is going to give us the same answer. So because I've already got them set up, I think I'll just do both real quick. Because luckily on this first one, there's not going to be any regrouping. Look at that. So 5 minus 0 is 5, 7 minus 4 is 3. Make sure my decimals line up. 9 minus 6 is 3. 1 minus nothing is 1. So then this number goes here. So we got 13. Oh, and I spoke too soon about the regrouping. Now I got all kinds of regrouping to do. All right. Fifteen minus 6 is 9. 12 minus 3 is 9. 12 minus 4 is 8. And so my first response gives me 8.99 meters. Well, since I've already gone to all the trouble of getting this set up, I think I'll try it this way and see if I get the same answer. So 0 plus 6 is 6. 4 plus 3 is 7. Make sure my decimals are lined up. 6 plus 4 is 10. So this number is going to go up here. 10.76. Regroup. 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 All right, 15 minus 6 is 9. 16 minus 7 is 9. Make sure my decimals are lined up. 18 minus 10 is 8. Which is good, because I get the same answer both ways. So either way would work, and either way you set it up is fine. Because you're going to get the same response either way, as long as you don't make an error. All right, last question. And this question is our only fraction question. So again, if you need fraction computation practice for adding or subtracting, there's another video you can look at. Probably several, actually. All right, Lindsay spent 2.5 hours in the science lab on Wednesday. She spent 1 1/4 hours conducting an experiment. She spent the rest of the time cleaning her lab station. How much time did she spend cleaning her lab station? So I want to know, basically, what did she do here? On this cleaning her lab station, what did she do? How much time did she spend? I know her total time, and I know the time that she spent on the experiment. So this is the missing piece that I'm trying to find. And so I'm just really looking for the difference in those two times. So I'm just going to set up a subtraction problem, 2 1/3 minus 1 1/4. Now, a couple of ways you can find your denominator here. One way is to simply multiply the two denominators together, so I can just say 3 times 4 and 4 times 3. That'll give me 12 as my common denominator. And that's perfectly acceptable. Another way you can do it is to write the factors out to the side for each of these and find the least common multiple of it. So we got 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18, 21, 24, 27. And here we've got 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24, 28, 32, 36. And so I can see that I've got a couple in common, but 12 is the smallest of the two. So it just so happened that this method gave me these as well. So, all right. So my new problem is going to read 2 and 4/12. My 2 and 1/3 became 2 and 4/12, and 1 and 1/4 became 1 and 3/12. And then I just do my subtraction. I start with my whole number, so 2 minus 1 gives me 1. 4/12 minus 3/12 gives me 1/12. And so my answer is 1 and 1/12 hours is how long she spent cleaning. Man, if only I get my lab students to clean their lab for an hour and a half, or an hour and a twelfth, I guess. Not an hour and a half, hour and a twelfth. That'd be fantastic.